I think we have to go to the article about why they think Dak isn't putting up the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we have to segue into that.
Hey, look, I just have the articles up here. Okay, maybe I have a couple sexy nude pics. Whatever you want.
Hey, it's your journey. What do you want?
So did you read this, Alex, at all or no?
Yeah, I read this too.
You did read it?
Yep.
So the gist of this, for anyone listening, we're looking at an article from Blogging the Boys that the title of it is The Return of Cover 2 and the Challenge for the Cowboys. So about 15, 20 years ago, the rage in the NFL was the cover 2 defense. And you can see it here. This is a cyclical league. 15 years ago, everyone played a version of the cover 2. Dual threat QBs made it. Many switched to a single high to add another DB in the box. Now we are headed back to the high 2 again.
Okay, so
they basically are going back, running quarterbacks. You saw them kind of like a Kaepernick. There was that 10 years ago, every division had a quarterback or someone running a wildcat or a fucking pistol formation or a run pass option, dual threat type quarterback. So that everyone went away from this cover 2 defense. The whole thing with the cover 2 defense is all your DBs are basically playing zone, and you're basically relying on your four defensive linemen to be able to handle the run and handle the pass, and you drop everyone else in cover.
Do you know what's weird? When I have a hard time when I'm watching games knowing what type of formation it is, like because of the angles that we're at.
You can't see it when you're watching it on the TV. Like you only see basically the defensive line. You don't even really get to see usually what the DBs are doing.
But cover 2 is like the formation that I generally will play 90% of the time.
Yeah,
in Madden.
so cover 2, cover 2, it's just you have your 2 corners.
I play the one they suggest.
Yeah, suggested defense. So all it is you have 2 corners on the outside naturally, and then you have 2 safeties playing deep.
Yeah.
So you basically, if there's guys going deep, now you have 2 of the wide receivers being doubled essentially.
And aren't your linebackers kind of playing more of a pass?
Yeah, they're all in zone. So you're not blitz. You're not blitz. You're rarely blitzing. You're all playing kind of a cover. You can also do like the Tampa 2, which was with Derek Brooks. They basically had him in a Micah Parsons role, and he would drop back, or Brian Urlacher, crack me if you got him. He would drop back as like a third safety.
Okay.
And play the middle of the field.
I do have some questions that I want to ask, but let's get through this article and then I can ask those questions.
I do. What did you just say?
Yeah, it's just basically they're just going back to a type of defense that is hard to get bigger pass plays, like deep pass plays. And they're saying that the whole NFL is doing this. And that's why you're seeing a lot of quarterbacks or a lot of teams with low scores.
Right.
Because a lot of them have never played against this type of defense.
So I think what's happened a little bit.
But it does have huge flaws. Flaws.
Right. I was going to say, which is so odd that an offensive coordinator couldn't just make those adjustments after you see them in that scheme.
I'm not going to try to put Madden compared to this, but in Madden, if you know someone's playing cover 2, you basically just send 3 wide receivers deep.
So I think
you send your 2 wide receivers deep, and then the guy in the slot deep, and then the 2 safeties have to pick. They have to. One guy's going to be open deep, basically.
But so what always happens?
It's easy.
What always happens?
Sign me up.
Are you the new Kellen Moore?
Dungeon Master.
What always happens in sports is
sports.
Go sports.
Yay, sports.
A style's developed from like a phenom type of player that shows up, and perhaps it was Michael Vick. I know there was people who rushed before him, but he maybe was the one who like
Cordell Stewart.
What needs to happen is that a player needs to show up. In basketball, it was Steph Curry who showed up and played basketball a different way, and then that leaks down to the kids who have skill, who are younger.
Yep.
They start wanting to emulate that player, and now it's like 3-pointers are fucking
Everything.
Yeah, and the game, and it's changed the game at basketball. In football, this is what happened: is the dual threat QB came in, changed how the weak point of defense was obviously, we've never seen this before. But then what happens is teams compensate. They build special positions, or they build special packages where now, okay, the high school kids grow up wanting to emulate that one player who fucking dominates, or just knowing like, man, I need to be an outside. Like edge rusher did not exist. It existed, but not in the way it does today, let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it might be.
Yeah, there wasn't guys that were bred to do that. Like
exactly.
now it's its own position,
right?
Pretty much, where before it was you would take this once in a generation type LT, for instance, guy, and put him in that position and let him go. Now it's like an actual, they go for guys that have those traits.
Yeah.
But back to this.
So that was long story short.
Yeah.
Summed up.
No, and it makes sense. So with this though, with the cover 2 defense, there is a lot of flaws in it. And the reason they're playing this type of defense against the Cowboys is Dak doesn't have his ability to run anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Where before, if you drop in and you see cover 2, you have your corners dropping back and you have 2 deep safeties and the other guys are covering short, you have an easy 6, 7, 8 yards that your quarterback can pick up. Right? The same thing is screenplay. So you've seen that this is another reason they think the Cowboys have been trying to do a lot of failed screens, because you basically have safeties dropping back and then the corners dropping back. Well, now you can throw an easy screenplay, but they've just been getting blown up.
So, but these schemes, is that how you say it? They require.
I love gold.
I believe it's Sheem.
Schemes,
Thank you,
schedules. I love gold.
These Charlie Sheens.
These Charlie Sheens.
These Charlie Sheens. These schemes, they require players to fit the part. So, like, you can want to play, say, cover 2, or you can want to play Tampa. You can want to play.
Well, cover 2 though, it's zone really, right? So you're just taking anyone and saying, "Hey, play this part of the field."
Well, but you still, there are, if let's say you have, you've just lucked out and you have 7 great pass rushers and their second good skill is like in your linebackers in front 4, then you can't, like, you'd be detrimental to play a scheme that like forces them to go back and play coverage more, right? Like if your linebackers are better rushers, you're just better playing a scheme.
But what they do though is it's a passing down that this is, right? So you probably only have maybe 1 linebacker on the field anyways. At this point, you're probably in your nickel position where you have 5 DBs on the field, right?
Right.
So you have all the small, fast guys that can cover. What it depends on, you are right. What it depends on is having your 4 defensive linemen being able to get pressure.
Well, I guess the threat comes from you having players who are skilled in those positions. Like if you have a bunch of average Joes, it's not as scary for them to play that, because you can like probably beat them with your.
I don't think anybody in the NFL is an average Joe.
Well, but just mediocre maybe as NFL.
NFL mediocre.
But the reason that this coverage doesn't get played very often is because there is lots of flaws, which is why I don't necessarily agree with this. It might work right now, but eventually it's been beat before, right? It's been, people know how to beat cover 2. Maybe Kellen Moore's never really had to face it in his playing days. He's still young, right? Kellen Moore's young. He's a young offensive coordinator. Maybe he's never actually had to scheme against a cover 2 defense. But they're saying the reason because of the cover 2, that's why the Cowboys are now doing a lot of check down types plays, because those are what are open.
I'm talking about the